Hey people, it is the 29th of August at 4:02 p.m. on Friday afternoon. It's around 18 degrees Celsius. And where am I right now, you're wondering? Well, I am in the St. Lawrence Market neighborhood here on the east side of downtown. We're currently on the Esplanade. There's a look west. And just across the way, heading east, is the Distillery District, where I just was before this. But I thought I would take a walk up and down some of the streets here in the St. Lawrence Market area, not only along the Esplanade and Front Street, which are two parallel main streets running through the area, but maybe I'll check out the cross streets as well as we make our way west. I'm often asked what's my favorite neighborhood in Toronto, and more often than not, this neighborhood comes to mind. I just like its awesome mix of different building styles, the fact that it's old and historic, but at the same time has lots of modern buildings mixed in an aesthetically pleasing way. It has awesome density with a mix of mid-rise and a few taller buildings starting to punctuate the area. It's very walkable, lots of tree cover, and some neat fountains, as you can see. Good parkland. This linear park, David Crombie Park, runs along a good chunk of the Esplanade here. There are community centers, there are housing co-ops. There's also a good bike lane, and there's also a bus-only lane along the Esplanade. So it's like all the bases are covered for good urbanism here in this part of downtown. And there are lots of people around, and lots of dogs also. This might not be as dog heavy as Liberty Village, but it's definitely up there. This is a much more sort of well-rounded neighborhood, I think, than Liberty Village. And it is within the boundaries of downtown Toronto, whereas Liberty Village is just a bit outside of downtown. And as you can see on the banners, this is also considered part of Old Town. The St. Lawrence Market neighborhood is within Old Town. And it has its own sign, just in case you don't know where you are, here on the Esplanade. All right, this is Princess Street. Let's walk up and down a couple of these side streets. I've done some walks just walking along the Esplanade before, not too long ago. But I don't often explore these cross streets. And they're actually quite charming for the most part, although some of them, as you can see, are still a work in progress. This is a brand new building here. It's a bit stark looking at the moment, but they did try to make it look nice with these trees, nice wide sidewalks. This is an enormous condo here called Time and Space. It's only a bit over 30 stories, but its bulk is what makes it stand out. Kind of walk right into the center of it here. Never actually came in here before. Let's see how it looks. Just gargantuan. All right, back to Princess Street. So this will take us to Front Street, the other sort of main drag. Let's see if I can adjust my camera a bit. There we go. So we'll just go as far as Front Street. We could continue up to King Street, where it sort of continues on in a similar fashion. Some brand new retail space up for grabs here at the base of the girthy condo. And this one is topped out since last stages of construction. Be nice to see that sidewalk opened up again and some new retail fill up the bottom levels of this building too. This one has quite a big, long stretch of potential retail here. Hopefully that fills up.
We have to take it.
All right, we're at Lower Sherbourne. So another look at the giant condo. And it's much nicer companion across the street. All right, we'll go back down to the Esplanade. Got a 24-hour Rabba. Got a good burrito place here, Bolet's. It has really good reviews. Got a nice old school neighborhood hardware store. Always comes in handy. A few other shops here. We got a pharmacy. And a whole swarm of pigeons. Got more retail for lease on this side of the building too. All right, we're back on the Esplanade. I think the next street might be George Street. Or it might be Frederick Street. I'm not sure. We'll see once we get there. Yeah, it is Frederick. So almost all the housing here is multifamily. I think about the lowest density housing type here are townhouses. There are schools in the neighborhood, obviously, as well, if I didn't mention that. And we got some characters over there. No neighborhood is free of that, unfortunately. The street continues on. Goes up to Adelaide, I think. Some nice old building stock. Actually, let's just take a little walk further north here, up Frederick. I just always thought this was a nice little stretch of street here. And we'll get just a little taste of King Street. Some roti. The George Brown College campus here, the main downtown campus. I wonder what that old building was before it became George Brown College. It's pretty substantial. It's fairly old. Not as old as a lot of the other buildings in the area, obviously. All right, now here is George Street. And you can see the street signs say Town of York. Because this is the original town site of the town of York, which was what Toronto was called before it was called Toronto. It was York. It was York from the late 1700s up to about 1834 when it was renamed Toronto. And that's when it became a city also. When the town grew big enough to become a city. All right, let's go along front now rather than go back down to the Esplanade. I'll mix it up a bit. I'll go down to the Esplanade again though.
Then you don't have to come. We're gonna go wherever. Bye.
We're at Jarvis, so let's go south down here. There's the St. Lawrence Market building and the new North Market building. Lower Jarvis here is basically a traffic clogged nightmare most of the time. This is not one of the charming side streets. This leads to the Gardner Expressway, that's why it's the way it is. And Jarvis Street itself is a busy traffic corridor going all the way along the east side of downtown, north to south. But you do have the St. Lawrence Market building, which adds a bit of character to the stretch. Nice view of the Sky Tower here. And back at the Esplanade, you can see the bus lane there in red. the rear end of the St. Lawrence Market, like a loading area here. That's why there's no proper sidewalk. All right, let's go back onto probably the nicest of the side streets in the area, especially during the warm months of the year when it's closed off to traffic. And this is Market Street. And the other side of the St. Lawrence Market. Some charming buildings. And the market itself is a big tourist attraction. It's very historic, very big. One of the best markets of its kind, easily in North America. Some people would even rate it the best. There's a better look at the North Market building. That just opened earlier this year after a very, very long construction phase. Well over 5 years it took to build that. There were some delays though. It's a nice looking building. Lots of commotion going on over there. And the financial district looming to the west.
And then
This whole neighborhood is definitely one of the more tourist-heavy neighborhoods, along with the distillery district, which is just to the east. I sort of lump them together. If you're in this end of town, you might as well check out the distillery as well for an even older, more touristy, more historic sort of vibe. Got the outdated postcards. I don't think they've made new Toronto postcards in at least 10 years, even 20 in many cases. I always keep an eye out though, just in case they finally decide to put out a new postcard. 'Cause I used to collect them, aerial views of cities.
Because
Random alley. And unfortunately, the main landmark of the whole neighborhood, other than the St. Lawrence Market building itself, is the Gooderham or Flatiron building, and it's been wrapped up in scaffolding and tarps all year long. I guess it won't be unveiled until either later this year or even next year. I guess it's getting a refresh. It's the main postcard shot of the area. So we're at Church Street. Let's go south down Church. There's a couple of neat things to see here on this block, in addition to the awesome old building stock. Here's the original shoreline of Lake Ontario, shoreline commemorative, because Lake Ontario came right up to Front Street, so they put a little marker there. Unfortunately, now it's being used as a home for a few people. But all the land that we're currently walking on was filled in. This was water. I love this building. I love this whole block, actually. Even this new building here looks quite nice. And the other kind of interesting thing about this block is the original Banksy. Got a neat little patio here. But this is an original Banksy in its original location. It has its protective plexiglass covering and a frame. I think that's the only one in the city that's still in its original location. The others have been sort of removed, hacked away, and put on display. And this is the sort of bar and restaurant stretch along the Esplanade with all the patios. This is very busy most of the time. It's a bit of a nightlife area too for this part of town. Got the big Novotel across the street. A new No Frills grocery store for the local residents. Got downtown's only old spaghetti factory.
It just feels like for the sheer amount of time it should be like sparkling.
And one last side street. Not the most charming here, admittedly. This is Scott Street. We have some performing arts venues here. Another neat old alley I've never walked down before. But back up to Front Street. I'm going to start to wrap up the video here as we approach Birksea Park, which is just across Front Street where the famous dog fountain is. So I hope you enjoyed the walk through the St. Lawrence Market area. One of my favorite, if not my favorite downtown neighborhood. Checked out the Esplanade and Front Street, as well as a number of the side streets in the area. So leave a comment down below if you enjoyed the walk, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also make sure you hit that notification bell, that way you won't miss any of my videos. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal, as well as via my merch store. Or you can also support the channel by becoming a channel member, or by sending a super thanks if you prefer. And you can find me on Instagram also under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and thanks to all the channel members. And be sure to keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.